Welcome back to the vlog. We got a busy day ahead. I'm going to paint my game / online poker room. Also redecorate it, but first we are at the gym. Gotta hit a quick leg day, and then we'll take the rest of the day and paint the room.
3 hours later.
3rd day of the $10,000 100-hour challenge. Let's get it going. Okay, so there's no PLO and Omaha games running. So we're gonna jump in a 1-3 game or a 1-2 game while we pass some time. There's about 4 people on the list, so game should get started pretty soon. Okay guys, let's jump right into some hands. We had some crazy ones this week at Parx. Hopefully I ended up on the good side of them. So this first one, I have Ace, King, Queen 2 with Ace, Deuce of Hearts, and there's a straddle, and there is a blind $15 raise under the gun. First act calls the 15, another limper calls, and I'm in the cutoff and I decide to pot. I had my hands way ahead of all the ranges who limped, and this table has been very, very crazy. So I think putting a raise here, especially in position, is really good. I can dominate a lot of hands here, and also see a flop in position. So folds around to the blind raiser who calls the pot, calls about 85 pot bet, and one of the limpers decides to jam it all in here for 300. Back on me, and given this player limped, I don't think his hand is very strong. I should add that he tanked for about a minute or two before shipping it all in. I think with his stack size, if he had aces, I think he would just instantly ship it here. I've seen him play pretty loose and aggressive so far, and willing to gamble. So I jam it all in myself, hopefully to re-isolate. But the under the gun straddler, or the person who made it blind 15, jams it all in as well, and he's willing to gamble. I put him on maybe a single suited or double suited rundown from that position, and the other player, he could have a wide variety of hands. So we get it all in 3 ways, and the flop is Ace King 7 with 2 clubs. Really good for me. I flop top 2 pair. No redraw, but that's okay, because right on the turn is the ace and a 5 river. So I turn the nuts and I scoop this $1,200 pot very early in the session and start a nice little win. Next hand here, I have King, Queen, 10, 10 with Queen 10 spades, and it's limped pot to me in the small blind. I decide to check my option here. I could raise, but given that I'm out of position and it's 6-way limpers, I don't think I'm going to get heads up with anybody. I think the value of this hand, especially in the small blind, is to dominate some weaker draws here and dominate some hands and get them to get it in light. So I check, and the flop is King 10-4 with 2 clubs and 1 diamond. So I flop top 2. I flop middle set, blocker to top set, and a blocker to the straight draws. Given that I block my own full house outs, I decide to check it here, and big blind bets 10. Late position calls, and it's back on me, and I don't want to raise given a wide variety of bad turn cards such as clubs or straightening cards, so I just call. Turn is the 5 of spades, and again, for some reasons on the flop, I check it, and big blind pots it this time for $42. Late position calls, and it's back on me again. Again, if I pot it here, I'm going to have a tough time on a lot of rivers against 2 opponents. I don't expect both of them to fold, and play a little pot control here and really disguise my hand. Again, I'm blocking my own outs, so I think call is the best line here, given the action. River is another 5, so I have 10s full. The only hand that beats me at this point is pocket 5s or the pocket kings. I'm blocking pocket kings, and pocket 5s is very unlikely given the flop action. So I don't want to lose, risk the hand getting checked through, so I actually decide to lead small here. I lead for $60. Big blind folds pretty quickly, and the late position player thinks for a second and calls. He said he had ace queen 5 with clubs, so he was drawing to a gutter and club draw and ended up rivering a 5. So I'm glad I didn't raise at any point. You could look back and say, oh, you're easily getting it in with this player, but he had a lot of equity on the turn, and I don't think he was folding any hand given the action. So I'm out of position, and I want them to keep betting kings up, which is why I didn't raise previously. So I think the river checks through a lot, so I think a lead on the river was perfectly fine. This third hand is against a player who has been making very light and sporadic 3-bets. He doesn't really have any rhyme or reason to his 3-bets. He kind of just plays by feel, very loose and willing to gamble with a lot of hands. So, which is why I played this hand the way I do. So I decided to straddle, and I have king 10-4 with the suit, and under the gun, first to act, limps his under the gun action. 2 other limps to the small blind, who decides to raise small to $10. I decided to just flat call here. I don't see any reason in 3-betting. I want to keep the lags in. I'm going to play a multi-way pot with the kings, hopefully set or set somebody, and go from there. To my surprise, or not surprise, under the gun decides to repot to $40. Small blind folds around to the small blind who calls, and I have a decision here. Small blind, I can discount aces pretty easily. He has been doing this with a lot of hands, or he doesn't raise that many hands to begin with. So I think he's got an ace-X type hand, maybe some high cards, some suited to the ace, things like that. And the under the gun player, I think he's got a lot of maybe single suited ace high hands, things like that. I don't think he has aces. He could very well have aces, but given that I think the small blind has an ace, I think that blocks some of the under the gun player's aces. And he's been doing this with a wide variety of hands. Like I said before, he's been gambling it up. So I actually decided to repot to isolate the loose aggressive under the gun player, who decides to pretty quickly go all in for about $250, $300 total. Folds around to me and I call it off. He asks how many times I want to run it. I say just run it one time. Given I know I dominate a lot of this player's hands and I put him on a lot of ace junk type hands. So we do run it one time and the flop is 8-6-3, 10-10. So I make trips on the river and show my hand, and he shows ace jack 7-8 with one suit. So I'm in pretty good shape against that hand pre-flop, and you know, ended up on the good side of a coin flip in this scenario. So guys, pretty good game at Parx this week. Overall, I made about $1,200 at the 2-2 PLO games. Really big boost to my bankroll, and also big boost toward the goal of $10,000. I'll post the results in the screen below, and you know, hopefully this run good can continue. So guys, recently I have been utilizing Jay Nandez's PLO Mastermind course. I'll put the link in the description below. A lot of good information there, a lot of good things of why I'm betting and what sizes I'm betting. If you guys really want to pick up and up your PLO game, I suggest you check out the link below. I don't get anything for it. I just feel like it's really helped me over the past month. I just started a month ago, and there's already tons of good information. So check it out, and I will do a short video shortly reviewing the Jay Nandez PLO Mastermind course.